Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. During my several week hiatus, a lot has happened. So today, we're going to be unpacking some of the crazy things that have happened in the tech world whilst I've been away. Namely, console wars. You see, in the world of tech conflict, whether it's OS wars, chip wars, browser wars, or console wars, these commercial conflicts usually stay in a kind of trench warfare state, but over the past few weeks, we've had some major breakthroughs in the gaming arena. So I thought I'd do a recap, a sort of state of the union, if you will, so that you're up to date, because believe me, it's more complicated than you think. So first of all, Nintendo. Nintendo has had a stranglehold on the handheld console market for ages, with no one coming close to the 2DS, 3DS and then the Switch, until recently of course. But their release of the Switch 2 raises some serious questions, notably in terms of pricing. Now, I don't have personally a tremendous amount of experience with Nintendo, having never owned any of their consoles myself, but the Switch 2, $450 for the console itself, which is already $150 more than the original Switch. Plus then you have various accessories like, extra Joy-Cons, even rubber bands, extra controllers, stuff like that. Like this one for $84. I mean, okay, fair enough. PlayStation and Xbox have similar accessory prices. But the real problem is the games. Around $70, it's like $60, $70, $80 for the mainline titles, the ones that people get Nintendo for, because really, apart from Nintendo's exclusives, other things can obviously be played on other platforms. I'm not being funny, but who has this kind of money to spend on one game? And you see, I obviously looked at these prices and I thought, okay, surely these prices have turned people away, surely the sales weren't that great. But apparently, no, apparently it was the most successful console launch of all time. So, that flushes my idea down the toilet. Never mind. But seriously, you're never going to get actual value for your money here. If you buy the console and one game, you've spent 500 quid on a single game experience. And of course, that's not worth it. But then when you buy more, you're just throwing money at stuff that's frankly not worth it. I like Mario Kart as much as the next guy, but 80 quid? 80 quid? I'm not being funny, it's a racing game. It's nothing spectacular out of the box. The code base is likely based on the previous one, which is based on the previous one. It's not worth 80 quid. The point is, all this extra heavily priced stuff, mostly the games, adds up fast. Even the product launch tour is 10 quid. Now, when Steam released their Steam Deck, which we'll get to later by the way, they're the sort of complementary game, which was, what was it called? Something like Aperture Science Employment Simulator, something like that. I'll show it on screen in a sec. And that was free, if you had the Steam Deck of course. But charging 10 quid for just a product tour, I mean, come on. What the hell has happened? Has someone dared you to monetize as much of your game's console as possible? They've got this button on the front that only works if you pay for a subscription service. Like everything about it. They're trying to milk money out of it. I just don't understand. I mean, I can't be the only one who thinks this is just stupid. Because you see, Nintendo isn't the only handheld maker anymore. There's a much better value alternative, the Steam Deck. The base model has roughly the same specs at the same price, but then where it absolutely beats the Switch is the pricing of the games. Because since you're buying via Steam, you're paying Steam prices, which can be very low if you're willing to wait for sales. But okay, this isn't new, the idea that Steam has cheaper prices. But recently, we've actually seen something very telling. A head-to-head comparison between Windows and SteamOS on the same exact device. And an official release as well, no sort of messing around. I'm of course talking about the Lenovo Legion Go S. And let's just say, Microsoft is panicking. SteamOS destroyed Windows in performance and battery life. I mean, not even close. It wasn't even like a, marginal 1% improvement that no one barely notices. We're talking FPS differences of anywhere between 8 and 28%. It's crazy. And since SteamOS is free, the Steam version of the Legion Go S is cheaper for the same specs with better performance, which means there is literally no reason to buy the Windows version of the Legion handheld. Now, Microsoft is reportedly scrambling to optimize Windows 11 for handheld gaming to avoid losing their grip on the sector. Valve, meanwhile, is continuing its blitzkrieg and is pushing SteamOS deals with other handheld makers, meaning that really they're on track to dominate the space. And the cherry on top? SteamOS has a desktop mode. Now, I'd imagine that Windows handhelds also may have a desktop mode. But as we've said, of course, the Steam-powered devices are much better value. So most of the time, if someone's playing on one of these handhelds, then if they go into desktop mode, it's going to be a Steam desktop mode, which means a Linux desktop mode. This desktop mode, of course, actually means that the Steam Deck could replace a Windows machine. It's not going to be as high performance as a dedicated gaming PC, because obviously mobile hardware is always scaled down, but this could be a huge step in the direction of the fabled year of the Linux desktop.
A blessing from the Lord.
But maybe Microsoft isn't out of moves yet. You see, Xbox has been experimenting recently with allowing Steam on Xbox consoles. When Microsoft eventually does release a first-party Xbox handheld, which should be around the end of this year, if it can match Valve's devices on specs, battery life and price, then they'll stand a chance. But any sort of resting on your laurels, half-hearted, good enough effort isn't going to cut it anymore. Microsoft finally actually has some serious competition in a space they used to own, and it looks like they've forgotten how to fight. Microsoft needs to turn this around. Now, I'm going to actually make a full-on dedicated video dissecting Microsoft's current state and their problems. So if you want to be the first to know, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. So, to put all this stuff into perspective, Nintendo and its fans have basically become the Apple of consoles now. Nintendo will charge, and their customers will pay a premium for stuff that's just okay. Because, I mean, let's be real, there's nothing spectacular about these Nintendo consoles. The specs aren't that great, the games aren't, nothing mind-blowing. Like if you look at the latest Mario Kart, it's very much of a muchness with the kind of stuff that they've been dishing up for years. Not that it's a bad game, I mean, whenever I've played it, I enjoyed it immensely, but not 80 quid, it's not an 80 quid game. Now, Valve's Linux gaming crusade is working. They're crushing Windows on handhelds, and Microsoft actually has to fight. Which means that really, the year of the Linux desktop is now within sight. I would say we can officially take it out of the meme cupboard and actually put it back on the table as a viable future possibility. Quite simply because, unlike Chromebooks, which are just a lobotomized, locked down version of Linux, SteamOS is real Linux. Put it in desktop mode, that's Arch Linux. Gaming is really one of the last holdouts for Microsoft against Linux. Gaming is the big one. Now, Microsoft isn't going to necessarily fall out of this market like they did with the phone market. They still do have an avenue in there with Xbox. So we're going to have to wait and see how all this plays out. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'm definitely not a lizard, and I'm inside your house.